From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, it's the mailbag. Building or buying championships, is the portal changing the dynamic? Distribution of carries, how will it break down with a slew of backs in the Mike Norvell offense? And we're generating discussion, powered by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Can't miss it. It's the shining beacon on that hill on Appalachia Parkway, 2475. CPTallybar.com, the website. Check it out or listen up right now. Lunch special today from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Cheesesteak sandwich, chicken or steak, only $8.99, and a side dish of your choice. The photo on the site looks absolutely divine, Corey. It's got curly fries on the plate with it. We know your relationship with potatoes, but I think if I were to be at the Corner Pocket later today for my lunch, I'm going with the cheesesteak sandwich steak, and I'm going with the curly fries. That's a home run, right?
You can also get it as a wrap.
Ooh.
You can get every sandwich they have as a wrap. So don't think that I haven't done the Philly chicken a few times as a wrap.
My man. All right. Go check it out, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And don't forget, later tonight, bingo night at the CP. Go have some fun and win some money. Meet some friends. Come meet some friends over at Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Friendly reminder again that when you subscribe to Warchant.com, not only do you get Corey's great columns, Ira's insight and insider knowledge, Gene Williams as well on the insider knowledge. You get Jeff and Tom, their access, Matt and Mike over on the PRB. Some people call him Michael Langston, not Mike. But you also get to check out all the other message boards on the On3 network. Now, you can't post on it. You can't get in there and barb Gator Crier 1 2 3 4 we lost all the time, but you can read their misery, and you can
get
inject
a finger
it
on
into
the
your
pulse. You get a pulse, a finger on the pulse of it. Yeah.
Miami as well. You can hop on all these websites and see what their fans are saying about their teams after spring games. All part of the experience of being a warchant.com subscriber, as well as being involved in the Renegade Express, which this entire show is pretty much dedicated towards the questions. We're going to be giving out some free gear from Cummins, and also picking another weekly winner. So a fun show coming up here, Corey. Hope you're in the mood for it. How are you, friend?
I'm good, buddy. I'm a little fatigued, I think. I go to the sauna every day now when I'm up here. I got a new gym membership. I think I love the sauna. Love it.
So jealous.
I think it knocks me out a little bit.
Okay.
Like it makes me a little sleepy. So hopefully I don't sound sleepy.
No.
Or I bring some energy. But yeah, I just kind of woke up from a little bit of a nap.
Okay. All right. Are you drinking plenty of water?
Oh, yeah. I never stop drinking water, man. I drink too much. I heard an interview with John Cena, who said he drinks 3 liters of water, which comes out to be, I think, like 100 ounces.
Okay.
And I'm drinking, I'm going to guess, 180 ounces a day.
I mean, you always have a 16-ounce bottle next to you squirting some Mio in it, so let's times out by like 5.
So I have an issue. It's a 20-ounce bottle, and I have an issue. I'm drinking twice as much water a day as John flippin' Cena, so I need to slow it down a little bit, I think.
Hey, let's dive into the middle of the mailbag. Our guy, random_John, which, by the way, kind of echoes your sentiments yesterday about the portal and the wide receivers, probably seeing that it hasn't worked out great for anybody else that's left the program, and that's why they're probably sticking around. But at the same time, who's scaring them into staying? Maybe the fear of the unknown out there. But his question was about what's going on with scaring all the players away from Leonard Hamilton. It's not like the team lost their coach or the players were world beaters. So, like, what's going on?
John, do we have good news for you, my man? Tell them the good news, Aslan. They got 2 transfers on Wednesday.
2. Justin Thomas from Texas San Antonio and Boston Holt from South Dakota. Now, some of you might groan, not blue blood programs, but Boston Holt, who comes from South Dakota, actually spent a year at Utah before he went to South Dakota. Holt shot 39% from behind the arc, which is
but he made
solid.
18. He made 18. He hit 18 3-pointers.
Well, let's get the volume up a little bit.
But the fact that he only hit 18, that he only shot like 50, doesn't fill me with a ton of confidence. He shot less than 2 a game, so he's not a sharpshooter necessarily. Okay. He's not a guy that likes to shoot threes. But yeah,
average 12, 4.5. Sorry, go ahead, Corey.
I was going to say, yeah, he averaged 12 and like 4.5 assists per game. So he can. I'm sure he can play a little bit.
And then Justin Thomas averaged 7, 4.5 boards and 3 assists per game, and shot nearly 43% from behind the arc. You want to throw any cold water on that one, Corey? Did he only make 9?
Yeah, but I think that was his stats from Milwaukee. I don't think he played at UTSA this past year. At least I didn't see it in their stats. Okay. I could be wrong. Either way, whether you average 7 points at UTSA or Milwaukee, he hit some threes. He shot like Aslan said. What did you say? He shot over 40% from 3.
Yes, 42.9. You're right. It looks like even on ESPN.com, they only has stats from Milwaukee from the 22-23 season.
So I assume he got injured. We should probably look that up. I don't know why he didn't play at San Antonio last year. But, yeah, he averaged 7 points a game at Milwaukee and then didn't play this past year. So you're not exactly adding Devin Vassell and Patrick Williams here. But, hey, you got to have bodies. You got to fill out the roster, and they're getting closer and closer to having a real, actual college basketball roster.
I keep getting a lot of Justin Thomas golf stuff when I'm trying to search him. By the way, he hit 24 of 56 3-pointers in that season at Milwaukee.
Again,
so
that's awesome that he shot a high percentage, but my man was shooting less than 2 3-pointers a game. So again, not the sharpshooters necessarily you're looking for. But hey, if they're open, they might make them, which is good.
Let's see here. Cursory search does not provide anything of substance here of why he was not able to play, but
he did win the PGA last year, didn't he? Maybe that's why he didn't play. He was busy winning the PGA. He's trying to make it still make it in golf.
Found it. Shout out to Jerry Briggs on the Twitter machine. Apparently was part of a group of transfers that were not eligible because of transfer rules.
Oh, okay. Like Primo.
Yeah, so maybe he was multiple schools or they didn't push it perhaps. But yeah, apparently there was some sort of eligibility concerns on the transfer, but won't be the case, I'm not sure. I'm sure when he arrives at Tallahassee, he's going to be ready to go. Let's get some of that volume up there. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, at least they're filling out the roster. I wonder what these conversations are like. I mean, every day is Leonard looking at what's in the portal and realizing slowly that he really can't be choosy. It's almost just who have I seen on film that looks like they play with effort. I'll try to handle the rest once they get here. I can't imagine the machinations going through his head. And random_ John was asking us if we've spoken to Leonard, but we haven't spoken to Leonard since, we didn't really speak to him, but we were on the ACC conference Zoom when they bowed out of the tournament.
I don't know, man. I am not, as Aslan can attest in some group messaging that we've had, I am not bullish on the Noles basketball team this season. I'm quite actually
how could you be? And you got pushback in the thread. I don't like that.
Well, not really, but it's like I didn't really get pushback. It's just I was being a little bit hyperbolic, just a little though.
I don't think so. I mean, this team,
the way it's currently constructed, this is going to be an abject horror show.
It's going to be worse than 2 years ago.
It could be because they don't have at least 2 years ago. You had Cleveland and Mills who were actually talented kids. But this team might play hard, and if they play hard, they might get to double-digit wins. But right now, when you look at this roster, when you have a couple of freshmen coming in, a JUCO transfer that averaged, I guess, 14 a game, so he might be a big-time player. We don't know. But you have Taylor Bowen and Chandler Jackson. Those are the only 2 guys left on the roster that played last year. Literally, that's it, 2. Because Cameron Fletcher's in the portal again. So you really 2 guys.
Cameron.
All right.
Yeah.
Cameron. I don't know. Cam. It's
okay.
just Cam.
All right.
So yeah, he's in the portal, and you have Chandler Jackson and Taylor Bowen. Like Chandler Jackson had some nice moments. Yeah, I mean I like his game a little bit. He's gonna have to score a lot. Taylor Bowen again, really kind of a freaky athlete, springy. But he's going to have to make huge strides to be a player that can contribute at a high level in the ACC. So, and then you got these guys. You got a kid from South Dakota, a kid from San Antonio. Not only are they not elite talents, it's hard to develop chemistry. None of these guys have played together before, and it's not like you're bringing together an all-star team to never have played together before. You're bringing a lot of guys that were playing it where we just said they were playing. So,
Sounds like a bunch of junkyard dogs to me, Corey. Egos checked at the door. Let's get out there and let's start
legitimately, they better be, because if they're not, if their egos aren't checked at the door, if they don't play harder than anybody on their schedule, they are going to get embarrassed nightly. So I hope they do have that mindset, because in college basketball, if you play hard and you play good defense, well, you can be in a lot of games and you can surprise people, but you got to do that. So let's hope they do. But yeah, I'm just saddened right now as we talk on May 1st, May 2nd. I'm saddened by what this roster apparently will be in 2024, 25. But I hope this clip right here gets played in perpetuity after Florida State makes the Final Four.
Let's go.
I hope this is an all-time freezing cold take, and that they end up surprising everyone and going 28-5.
Hey, bad production on my part. I meant to kind of start the show off to discuss this before we went into all the fun stuff, but we'll have to kind of downshift here and kind of circle back to a bit of a somber note as we start the show for you folks today. Marcus Outzen, which to maybe a lot of you know him as Rooster, passed away this week at the age of 46 after battling a rare immune deficiency disorder, I think a blood disorder that he got diagnosed with in 2023, Corey. Everything that Florida State kind of endured this past year in 2023, I don't think there was a lot of parallels. It was unprecedented, obviously, doing what they did and being left out of the playoff. But them having a backup quarterback have to kind of scratch and claw to keep things alive for the chase and the pursuit of a national title. I mean, that was what Marcus Outzen did for Florida State back in 1998. Just some maybe thoughts you have about Rooster and just how special that week was for Florida State and him, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks. Winky got hurt in maybe the first half against Virginia in November of 98. And if you guys don't remember, Florida State had already lost the game, which was outlandish back then, to NC State when Winky threw 6 interceptions. Outzen even played some in that game. And he could run. He was a good athlete. But anyway, Winky didn't throw an interception the rest of the way. The offense caught fire. They were 9-1, whatever it was, when Outzen had to take over as the starter because Kendra had already blown out his ACL in the spring. So Outzen, who had been the third-string quarterback, was now the starter. And, I think they beat Wake Forest 13-3. It was pretty gross up there. It was a gross game. I think they scored under 20 points or right at 20 points. Corey Sawyer had 3 interceptions in that game, if I remember correctly.
24-7. 24-7.
In 98?
Yeah.
How many can you click on that? Corey Sawyer did something crazy in that game. Had 3 interceptions or 4 interceptions, something remarkable. I don't. Not Corey Sawyer. It was who the heck was it? Mario Edwards. Somebody had a lot of interceptions in that game for a Florida State DB. But anyway, they didn't do well against.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting, Corey. 4 picks, Mario Edwards.
Okay, there you go. So the brain still works a little bit.
Yeah.
I said Corey Sawyer, who obviously played 5 years before that, but then I came around to Mario. The offense wasn't good that game. The offense was not good at all against Florida. But he made a couple of plays when he had to make them, and he always was remembered for being a tough-nosed kid that ran really hard when they needed him to. He ran for, 60 yards against Florida. Maybe more than that, not counting sacks, but ran for some first downs, and that Florida defense was legit. He did throw for a touchdown, but it was after what should have been a pick 6. It went through somebody's hands, Gus Scott maybe, and Peter Warwick caught it and did Peter Warwick things. But anyway, so the point being, he will always have a fond memory in Florida State's fans' eyes of that time. Because he won anyway. He beat Florida. Again, the defense didn't allow a third down conversion in that game. And Peter Warwick, he threw a touchdown in that game too. He was the main reason they beat Florida. But Marcus Outzen didn't lose to Florida, and he was a tough kid. And what's cool about him is, that was 98. He stayed through the 2000 season and never transferred. Again, that was a different time, but good for him, man. He could have gone somewhere. Instead, he played behind Chris Winky for 3 years and was okay being a kind of a career backup because he liked being at Florida State so much. So it's horribly sad news. But, yeah, that name will always kind of ring out for that Florida game. And then, man, Florida State had a third-string quarterback starting in the national championship game against Tennessee. Yeah. And if they would have handed the ball off to Travis Minor more, they would have won the game. And he'd have been a national championship winning quarterback.
Or maybe just figure out some ways to get the ball in the Peter Warwick's hands.
Yeah, one catch wasn't ideal. He had a long punt return, but yeah, one catch didn't. I feel like Mark Richt could have dialed some other stuff up besides nothing to get Peter Warwick the ball. And look, Outzen struggled in that game, but he was supposed to. He's a third-string quarterback playing, the national champs. But he ran for yards in that game. So anyway, really tough kid. Really sad because he couldn't have been
46.
Yeah, I was going to say he's younger than me. That's and it came on quick. That's really sad.
By the way, the Gators in that game, 20 rushing attempts for 17 net yards in 98.
Who was the DB? Was Gus Scott
Gus Scott, that was like 2003. That was
PK Sam, right?
Yes.
Marquand Manuel, maybe? It went through somebody's hands. It would have been a 70-yard interception return, and instead Peter Warwick catches on the deflection, puts a guy in a mixtape, and then goes and scores a touchdown. One of my all-time favorite plays in Doak Campbell Stadium history.
Puts him in the
plays
mixtape.
Ever.
Put him in the blender, I think, is what you want to say.
Well, no, like an and one mixtape.
Oh, okay.
Like he made him fall to a knee. Like literally, the guy he broke his ankles. I know what I'm saying, Aslan.
I don't see Marquand. Actually, no, Marquand Manuel did play in that game. Also, a Cromartie played defensive back in that game for the Gators, and Alexander, a Davis. But that might be linebacker.
Cromartie might have been the guy that got dropped by Peter after he caught the ball.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's get back on the ponies. Let's do some Renegade Expressing. The Walking Nole 01. First off, I want to say hello to my granddad. Big fan of the show. His name's Lane.
Okay,
Not something
Lane.
I can do all the time, I know, but I know it would mean a lot to him this week. Shout out, Lane. What's up, Mr. Walking Nole 01's grandpa? I'm going to have to defer this question. He wants me to ask Link about anything being done to the College Home Run Derby coming back. He wants to see Tibbs and Kaggs and Condon and Cam Smith and Omaha duking it out. That would be awesome. I didn't know they went away at the Home Run Derby, but I'll ask Link after the Super Regional win, after the dog pile. Is that cool?
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I also they used to do it was it the week after the
I think so, yeah.
The College World Series? Just do it with the best power hitters from the 8 teams that are out there.
Yeah.
Like that Friday night.
That opening ceremony night, yeah.
Have them do you're not going to ruin your dang swing. All you guys are hitting a ton of bombs in batting practice anyway. It would be cool to watch that. But also make it it can't be like the It can't be like the home run derby in the All-Star game because those dudes are literally exhausted when they're done.
10 pitches, period.
That's it.
Just pick somebody that knows how to throw strikes.
10 outs is even better. But the guys that how many swings can you do in 3 minutes? I mean, they're gonna be exhausted, and they're gonna be legitimately sore the next day. So just make it how it used to be: 10 pitches or 10 outs, and be done with it.
All right, Corey. With your permission, I'm gonna go kind of in and out of order. Let's get some football stuff going on in the show here. I know people are going to be like, what's going on with all the baseball talk? Football. Nole 1518. Aslan and Corey, I don't have much of a feel for our running back pie chart. If prognosticating in May, how would you rank these four in terms of how many carries they'll get in the upcoming season? Cam Davis, Roydell Williams, Keziah Holmes, and the Seagulls' better half, a.k.a. Lawrence Toafili.
Right.
Now, Corey, real quick, I just want you to... I don't know if you can hear that. It's a piece of paper. We're not going to be generating discussion on this.
Okay.
But
right,
I did research, Jer. So I did research for you, Corey, as well. There really hasn't been a 1-2 punch in Florida State since Mike Norvell's been here. I've got the breakdown of percentage of carries by each back since he got here.
What about the Seagulls? I was going to say the Seagulls, they were not a 1-2 punch.
The closest margin between 1 and 2 was his first year here. It was a 6% difference. Corbin had 43% of the carries. LaDamian Webb had 37%. And Toafili had 20%, which pretty decent balance. But if you look at 2021 and last year as well, 2022 might be kind of that's another outlier where they were kind of packed closely. Benson in 22 carried 45% of the carries. Ward, Trayshawn had 28%, and then Toafili had 27%. But 2021 and then last year Benson had 57% of the carries if we're talking about the top 3 running backs. Keziah Holmes had 29 carries. And if you want to include him, then you go to Benson, 51%. In 2021, Ja'Shawn Corbin had 56% of the carries. There's no real precedent here for what I think they've got going on here, which I think is probably, or maybe I feel like it's two backs. I think it's Roydell and Lawrence. Keziah might be to a certain degree, but I think there's the one thing I wish I could have been able to kind of illustrate is that no matter what, there's always been a huge drop-off between number 2 and number 3 in terms of the percentage of carries. Like you might have a 6-10% drop-off from number 1 to number 2, but every single year you go from 2 to 3 and you're dropping like 12 percentage points nearly. So I don't know. I mean, I think, could we see Lawrence be the number 1 running back, Corey? Get the lion's share of carries, and then I think Roydell maybe 2, Keziah 3, Cam 4? Or are you anticipating Roydell being the lion's share bell cow of that room?
No, I don't foresee Roydell being that. And I think the 2022 first half of the season, because remember, Trayshawn got hurt in that season. And then I just looked it up because I was like, man, that doesn't seem like a lot. So he missed a month. And then his last 3 games, he had 4 carries, 4 carries, 5 carries, 5 carries. But he started the year with 14, 16, 10, 14, 13 in carries. I don't remember this at all. He had 10 for 126 in that win over Louisville.
Are you counting Duquesne from 2022?
Yeah. But, I mean, still, he also had 16 against LSU, 10 against Louisville, 14 against Boston College. He carried as much as Benson before Benson became the guy. But I would foresee it more like that. I think before Ward got hurt, well, and also before Benson took off, that was kind of a 1-2 combo. I feel like they split the reps almost evenly.
Yeah, I know you're right. I mean, when the numbers ultimately fleshed out, it didn't come out that way, but to your point.
But yeah, because of the injuries. And also Benson took off. Like, Benson became the guy. Toafili and Roydell aren't Trey Benson. So I could foresee both of those guys having in the neighborhood of 10 to 14 carries a game. I really could. And look, man, Toafili, he's played in the shadows a lot because of the guys that have been here, but he's gotten some tough yards in the middle. He is not just a swing it out guy, just throw a toss sweep or a screen pass guy. Like he's gotten some tough yards in his career. He's become a much better running back, and maybe this is his time to shine, but I don't foresee him being a 20 carry a guy game. I don't foresee either one of them getting 1,000 yards. I think collectively, Toafili and Roydell, 1,500 combined. Okay. I think that's a fair thing to ask for. And then I would say after that, I think it is Keziah and then Cam.
Yeah.
That's my pie chart. I do. Keziah gives you something. I guess Roydell does too, but Keziah is a big, powerful back. I think they'll use him a little more in short yardage situations because they don't have Trey. But they also have Roydell, so it's hard to know. But I think that Toafili and Roydell will get the lion's share of the carries. But I do think it could be more of an even split.
Yeah, I'm sorry to keep throwing numbers at everybody. But, yeah, freshman year, Toafili had 37 carries. He followed up with 32 carries. 2022, triples it, nearly going with 93 carries. And then last year, he had 69 carries. So I wonder, what the sweet spot is for Lawrence. And I certainly would hope he's going to be closer to 100 carries than he's going to be 50 this season. I would be shocked. It feels like it's his time. And I know he might not have that traditional build that we're thinking of, and maybe he doesn't necessarily fit like the ideal mold for that inside power run game that Florida State was able to effectively use with Trey Benson. But, man, it should be his time to finally kind of shine and be the lead guy here. But maybe, just schematically the way they like to run things on the inside, it might be Roydell gives you a little bit more. I'm still pretty cautious on Keziah. Certainly, this is get busy living time for him. So let's get it going here. All right, let's go to Lawton. First time question for me, but listening to you guys for years. Welcome to the Terror Dome, Lawton. One question that keeps bothering me is long-term impact of the other sports besides football when we leave this godforsaken conference. Do you guys think long-term, let's say 15, 20 years down the road, do you see a more regional matchup sort of situation with the other sports while football stays in the conference with all the big boys that we end up being in? I can't imagine, regardless of the payout from the television deals, that it would still be financially reasonable to play non-revenue generating sports outside of the regional format. What are your guys' thoughts on this, and how do you think that would work? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's what happens, but I'm not smart enough to know when or how. But it is crazy that, like I've talked about, let's say Florida State's in the Big Ten. Okay, well, now 3 of your conference mates are on the West Coast. So are you going to go send your volleyball team or your soccer team to California in October for just a weekend? Like, is that something the tennis team? It's already crazy enough you have to go to Syracuse. Like, the softball team's going to Syracuse this weekend. Well, imagine going to Syracuse and then having to go to Eugene, Oregon. So, I think eventually some common sense will prevail, and you can have these 2 super conferences, and then everything could almost go back to the way it was for the other sports. Because, I don't know, man. I don't know how you are going to have a real conference champion in any of the sports that don't make money. But you're going to have Wisconsin playing in Tallahassee. You're going to have Florida State playing in Minnesota. Like, just all these teams that don't make any money crisscrossing the country. To what end? It reminds me kind of like and I'm lucky that Brady plays travel ball in Atlanta, where it's not really travel ball. Like, he travels 30 minutes to go play games, not to other states. But it's like these travel ball kids that are 9 years old that go to these other states to play other 9-year-olds. It's like, just go play the 9-year-olds near you, like in a driving distance. So I would hope that maybe these conferences, when it comes to the non-revenue sports, kind of come to their senses and realize this is just, from a financial standpoint, is idiotic. We're paying millions of dollars in travel for sports that nobody watches. I don't know. I would think that they would end up regionalizing all the non-revenue sports, hopefully bringing it back so it's like real conference stuff, real conference kind of alignments, or regional alignments, I guess, but who knows?
I just wonder what happens to the inventory, because it makes sense. I get it. I'm on board with everybody. I think it'd be cool if
that's a good point.
Tennis just played FAU and FIU and Stetson and UCF and USF and Florida and Miami. But the SEC network still wants to show Arkansas, Missouri baseball. Or, I mean, that's kind of still revenue generated. But I mean, I just wonder how that all kind of works out, where you kind of no longer have any product. I mean, you only have 4 months of the year at that point, really, if you go away from conferences. But I mean, you own the world for those 4 months, and you're making gobs of money in those 4 months. But it's at the same time, it just doesn't make sense to fly to Minnesota to play golf.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. But I mean, does it make a lot of sense right now to fly to Duke to play golf? So, I mean,
maybe you just don't have conference champions in those sports. I don't know, man. No. Like, I don't know how you do it, but like, again, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Washington, like, it makes sense for football because it's like the NFL. The Seahawks play the Buccaneers sometimes. Like, it's just part of the deal. But the Seattle, high school teams don't travel to Pensacola. Like, it's not financially viable. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I do feel bad, especially for those Stanford rowers. Like, who are they going to row against now, Aslan?
I don't know. It's good.
Just themselves?
I don't know. We went over. Duke's got a rowing team. There's some teams that row and crew.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay, that's right. We've been over that.
Maybe we should just look at Congress and have like a 2-house solution where, like, let's have a real national champion. Let's have every single state represented, other than, I guess, maybe Alaska. But like, every school gets at least one team in to the tennis championship. But then based on your population, you would get a proportion more of bids into this national tournament. And let's crown a real national champion. Let's have all states involved. That's what I hope for.
Okay. All right, Aslan. That's your platform.
That's my platform. Old dads and Nole, wake up. Watching the NFL draft without any Noles in it's like watching college baseball or the basketball tournament without Florida State being in it. I guess that can be fun, but not really. To me, anyways. I've come to realize I really don't care if most or all were portal players. Yes, it could be seen as somewhat disturbing, I guess, but until things are changed by the powers that be, this really might be the way to go. ? Or how about I say it this way? This really may be the way to go? Cheers to the best, old dad.
I mean, it's working out all right. 19 straight wins, 13-0. It's worked out pretty well here the last 2 seasons. So, I like we've talked about, I think eventually there will be some regulatory, I don't know, not litigation, but rules, regulatory rules. There you go. That's a great saying. Policing this or some guardrails or something where there's going to be some parameters. But as long as there aren't, yeah, man, go get as many guys from as many other schools as you can, especially if they're good. The Jared Verses of the world and the Trey Bensons, go get them. I think it is sustainable too. But there is a little more of a variance, right, when it comes to, like, when you're bringing up Azareye'h Thomas, by the end of his freshman year, you're like, yeah, this guy's going to be an all-conference type player. He's going to be really good. When you bring in another guy from another school, you have no idea. You hope he is. You've watched film, but you don't have quite the idea of Azareye'h Thomas or a Patrick Payton because you haven't developed him. You haven't watched him grow over the 2 or 3 years. You also don't know what kind of locker room guys they are. You can ask people, but until they're in your locker room and in your program, you don't really know. It's like being married or moving in with someone. You think you know what it's going to be like until you actually do it. And then sometimes you might have reservations, like Shanna did. So I think that eventually you'd like to have more high school kids coming through because you've developed them, you know what they are. But, that might just be a pie-in-the-sky pipe dream. Like, I feel like they just went and got 14 more transfers, so clearly they like what they're doing here.
How long did you guys live together before the wedding?
It's a good question. A while. 5 years.
Oh, wow.
4 years, 5 years. We were moving a lot. She lived in Valdosta with me for a little bit,
nice.
And then up to Gwinnett, yeah.
That's what they call you, calculating Clark, huh? 5 years.
Yeah. I took it.
Checks and balances.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this kind of... Does it feel less fulfilling when it's guys that have only been? I wonder if that's where the question is. Does it feel like less fulfilling when it's a guy that's only been at your alma mater for 1 year? Is this a?
I will say this: did Keon? I can see some validity to that because who felt more fulfilling, Keon or Jarian? Now I know they were both transfers, but Jarian you saw, or Renardo. Maybe Renardo is a better example. Like both the second round picks. Both both played great at Florida State in 2023, but I feel like Renardo's journey is maybe a little more appreciated. But Keon was great. It's probably not a great example because of Keon's personality.
Yeah,
it shined through, and he was awesome. So was Braden. But I do feel like, yeah, it probably means a little bit more to you if they've come up through your program. But at the same time, it doesn't mean it's not that big a deal.
And I also wonder if this is fandom scoreboard keeping, because like right now, if you're Florida or Miami, you've got nothing to hang your hat on. So you're losing to Florida State on the field, you're losing to them off the field in recruiting, and you're losing to them in the NFL draft. So maybe they're trying to push back on Florida State fans and go, oh well, he was only there for a year, that doesn't count. But it's man, when you look up Keon Coleman on BuffaloBills.com, I'm pretty sure where it says college, it says Florida State.
Yeah.
So, but to the overall point, man, I've long said I don't know how this thing is going to look in 3, 4, 5 years, but the way it is right now, I don't know what's the argument against the portal, especially if you're at Florida State. You are pretty much the gold standard for showing that this is an actual viable approach to building a consistent winner. I mean, 2022, you built that off the backs of transfer players. 2023 obviously was on the back of transfer players. All the success that you're going to have this year, I don't want to say all, but I mean, listen, if Marvin Jones is the dog that we think he's going to be, although I mean you got Peyton and I mean I know you got Daryl, half of your starting front four on your defense probably going to be transfers, right? Patrick Peyton, Josh Farmer, Daryl Jackson, and Marvin Jones, and we think they're going to have probably a really good defense again. So prove me wrong that it's not sustainable. The only way it's not sustainable is if things change and they don't allow players to do multi-year transfers, because then you're probably not going to have as many at-bats to get guys that are going to be moving around. But Florida State doesn't strike me as being anybody that's even really involved with anybody that's been at multiple schools. Like, right, everybody they've gotten to has only been at one school, and it's a new sort of era, too, that we'll see how it looks in the next year or two. But These aren't a lot of guys that have been jumping around from place to place to place to place. So, well, Quinn67, wake up. What a fantastic NFL draft. Speaking of the draft, our guys made all 3 days interesting to keep up with. Wish them all the best. My question, other than Fred Biletnikoff and Prime, which former Nole made the biggest impact in the NFL? Go Noles, Quinn67, class of 93. I mean, it's Derek Brooks, right?
Well, I mean, I get Leroy Butler. He invented a whole leap, and he's in the Hall of Fame. I would say I don't know why Biletnikoff would be ahead of the other 4 NFL Hall of Famers. You know what I mean?
Raiders, probably Raiders. We're too. But
I mean, he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't necessarily a pioneer. He was a pioneer at Florida State because nobody threw the ball back then, and so he was putting up crazy numbers. Him and then Sellers after him. But I would say, Derek Brooks probably. Also because of the dude he was. He was an NFL Man of the Year and maybe the best outside linebacker of all time. Certainly on the Mount Rushmore of that position.
He became the archetype for an entire, not only like a position, but almost like an entire scheme of defense.
Yeah.
Like to play the Tampa 2 effectively, you needed that guy at linebacker that could go sideline to sideline and play the way that Derek Brooks did. So
and nobody really has done it like him since.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's been some facsimiles, but not reasonable ones. That guy was just unbelievable. Just an unbelievable football player. So let's go with Derek Brooks. Leroy Butler, I love you.
Yeah.
Recent Hall of Famer, and invented the Lambeau leap.
He did.
So good for him. Although T-Buck says he invented it at Michigan.
Yeah.
Leroy Butler probably saw that and was like, that looks cool. If I ever get a pick, I'm going to go do that. But still, he did it. He was the one that do it in Lambeau Field.
Derek Brooks also had that great top 5 favorite athlete advertisement commercial for United Way.
United Way, right? When he's on the bus, right?
Yeah.
That was a
Who's our favorite player?
Yeah.
Mr. Derek Brooks. Yeah.
He was him and Warren Sapp and Rondé Barber, that was an all-time. John Lynch, right? Wasn't he on that?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was John Lynch. Yeah, what a crazy. By the way, good couple days for Prime and his son, huh? Have you seen any of that on Twitter?
I just have seen that the blooms off the rose, like the spring game attendance.
No, it's
plummeted.
not that. It's so the Athletic came out with a story with all these kids that Deion just pushed out at Colorado, which I mean that happens. That's part of the deal. And so of course they went and talked to some guy that was like at Akron or Buffalo or somewhere, and talked about how Deion didn't say anything to him, never really talked to him, just told him he wasn't welcome back, and so he talked about that. And then Shador gets on Twitter on Tuesday and says, I don't even remember this kid. He must have been mid.
Oh,
and then Deion on Wednesday, the head coach, the 50-something-year-old head coach at University of Colorado State School, screen grabs the kid's stats from 2023 at Buffalo and says,
what?
He said, Lord Jesus or something. Like with a question mark, and it's like, man, what? They're just going to be the villains, man. Like I get that you don't like people talking about how you run things, but don't kick the kid when he's down, man. Like he's already left. You already pushed him out because he wasn't good enough, clearly, and then you go and just don't stay above the fray. But anyway, so he not exactly making a lot of friends out there, and especially. When maybe Deion will be in Boulder for 15 years. You expect that to happen, Aslan, that he retires from coaching in Boulder?
Not betting on it.
I probably think he's going to leave when his kids leave. So I hope these last 2 years were worth the squeeze.
What do you think his end game is? I mean, not to get too lost in the weeds on this, but he seems that he doesn't. He's saying he doesn't want to go to the NFL, and I don't know what blue blood program is going to want to hire a coach that. What? He screen grabs a kid's stats? Like, why even respond?
Right. Yeah. And then make fun of the kid. Like, it's just like
unbelievable.
It's really petty. It's really, really petty. And then you think about, again, different people. I get it. And I'm not saying Deion can't be a good coach. But think about Mike Norvell's response when Travis Hunter embarrassed him and his program on the biggest day of the year. He just tweeted like, hey, I respect anybody, whatever. Now, he might have been seething. I don't know what he texted Travis.
Right.
But I know publicly he didn't tweet something like, well, we only want real Noles anyway. Right. We only want real dogs. I guess some people just don't want to work hard. He didn't tweet any of that. He just said, we respect everybody's decision. Yeah. We wish them well in the future. Whatever it was. I'm sure all you guys listening now didn't care about his level of pettiness at the time. You were just, again, irate that your losing head football coach just lost the #1 recruit in the country to Jackson effing State. But here we are 2 years later, and clearly you got the right guy. And Colorado has a guy that has always kind of been about himself and his kids and his family. And maybe it works again this year, or maybe they continue their 8-game losing streak.
Oh, that's gross.
It's gross. It's just gross. It's not how you carry yourself.
And I think there's too much animosity towards Deion from Florida State fans, but when that sort of stuff happens, like, it becomes hard to I don't want to say defend him, but try to put things in context. That's just,
well, you can't defend that.
No, you can't. Absolutely not.
You can defend, like, he took over the worst program in the United States. They were awful. Of course they all needed to leave. Now, you can handle it a little better than Deion did, but Deion's Deion. I mean, it's what you get. But, he also brought in a lot of really good players. Well, not a lot, but some really good players, and they quadrupled their win total. So he did some things right. It's just, man, maybe carry yourself with a little more class. I would like that to happen when it comes to. No, I don't mean you have to. I don't care about wearing sunglasses or whatever. Yeah. What does the Colorado State guy get mad about? Hats and sunglasses or something?
Yeah.
That was nonsense. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about how you relate to, the young men you're supposedly trying to bring up and celebrate. Maybe don't be so petty. You're Deion Sanders. Maybe don't need to be so petty against a 22-year-old DB from Buffalo or Akron or wherever he's from. Sorry, young man, I don't remember where you go to school.
I hope the kid didn't transfer in last year. I hope he was actually at Colorado for 3 years or so, and then Deion let him go, as opposed to like.
Yes, I think that's what happened. I think he did. He was at Colorado when he got there. Yeah.
Nonetheless, terrible. Seminole life. Wake up. With all the wide receiver talk of drops and what we saw in the spring game, do you guys see our wide receivers working after practice on this? Seems like the jugs machine should be burning up from overuse at this point. Go Noles, love the content, fellas. When practice is over, we kind of go towards the bottom of the facility where they've got tables staged for us to do the interviews. So there could still be guys inside the IPF or around the corner where Culhane does his report with players afterwards. He does his kind of version of a rap. But yeah, I have not seen I have not seen that sort of stuff out there. But not to say that they can't do it before practice, which we're also not allowed to watch certain parts of practice before they warm up and play the war chant. So they could be doing some of that stuff earlier on. But I have not seen that. But I don't want you to think that means everybody's content with what's been going on out there.
Yeah, and so, it's hard for us to comment on that because if they were doing it, we wouldn't see it. I'm going to go ahead and assume that, yes, they are because they care. I would hope, I think. They used to have those machines right there on that sideline where we stood and waited, right? Yeah. They had the footballs off the fence, hanging off the fence, that kind of setup. But that they moved that or don't have that anymore. So, but I'm going to assume that, yes, they do that. But I don't know for sure. But it's something like, look, man, none of these guys want to drop passes. You would think they want to get better, a lot better. So I would think just like a guy that's in a slump, I don't see, if Ferrer has a bad weekend, I don't necessarily know that he goes to the cage and gets extra swings, but I'm going to assume he does. So I would think it's the same way with the receivers. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem at the root of the question, though, is that, it seemed like every day we were talking about somebody else dropping a pass in practice, which isn't great. I mean, maybe one guy kind of gets caught with the bum rap of being the guy that drops it. It was seemingly like a different guy not every single day, but maybe every single week we were out there. All that to say, though, Corey, for whatever reason, I'm not all that concerned about. I'm more concerned about guys that can actually get open, be game breakers when the ball does get to them in space, as opposed to being on pins and needles. And listen, to a certain degree, it's going to be like a relearning, I think, of watching the quarterback play, because I don't want to compare DJ to anybody else, but I don't think DJ's Jordan Travis, to where when he dropped back, you pretty much knew something good was going to happen, right? He was either going to complete a pass, maybe roll out, maybe get a pass interference call, and then on the off chance he throws an incompletion, and in the very off chance he's going to throw an interception. DJ might not have that kind of stability and that kind of consistency that we've been used to. So it's kind of, I might actually be more concerned about the throw going into maybe the wrong part of the field and going into coverage rather than the ball arcing beautifully down the sideline and then, oh gosh, is Kentron going to drop this? But maybe that's just me being crazily optimistic at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as big on drops as other people. I think the key is getting open. That's the number one thing you need, and then after that, it's catching the ball. So I'm more interested in that than that's what I. The drops were one thing. The thing I didn't see enough of was the special plays, the separation from really good DBs, but I didn't see a ton of that. So let's tackle that first and then get to the drops, because there's more to being a receiver than just catching the ball. Like, that's like saying all you got to do to be a good outfielder, and I'm not saying this is what the questioner said. I'm just saying when people get all upset about dropped balls, it's like, well, all you got to do to be a good outfielder is just catch the ball. Well, no. The reason Andrew Jones is one of the best of all time is because he got to balls that nobody else got to. Everybody has a glove on their left hand. If they can get there, they can make the play. It's getting there. It's getting open. That's the number one job of a receiver. And they didn't do that enough to my liking. But, yes, the drops weren't great. So, it was a double whammy.
You know what the opposite of a double whammy is, Corey? It's probably a BOGO. Buying one, getting one free. You can do that over at vitaminenergy.com when you use the promo code Warchant BOGO, Warchant BOGO. It's clinically tested, clinically proven to help improve your mood, your immune system, help burn more energy and fat, and also improve your focus. Maybe that would help out with the dropsies, although I don't think it's a huge issue. Following up on what you said earlier in the week, Corey, maybe it was last week, somebody had told you at a tailgate during the spring game about the 8-hour sleep shot, which is the antithesis of vitamin energy. This puts you to sleep. Vitamin energy keeps you awake and alert and functioning at your peak performance. The 8-hour sleep. Confirmed. When you use the promo code WarChampBOGO, you buy one, you get one free, and you still get a free 8-hour sleep shot. So you can give it a shot, if you will, and try it out and see if it helps you get a little bit better quality slumber. Why not? Florida State alums behind this enterprise, hooking you folks up with that promo code. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Promo code WarChampBOGO. Warchant BOGO. Let's get a little giddy up in the step. We got a lot of questions, and we still haven't even generated discussion yet. Corn Tater, wake up for the people. At what point does college football become a more lucrative opportunity than playing in the NFL? How many kids are skipping senior year high school to go get paid and join a college team? How many of those kids are getting drafted at a rate that is paying dividends down the line? Nobody cares about going to class. Fans don't care about incoming freshmen that need to develop. They want their team to go pay for one-year mercenaries to win now. Teams that build towards winning championships aren't built anymore. They are bought. Ooh, that's a cynical look at things, but probably not too inaccurate.
Well, Michigan was built. That wasn't a lot of transfers coming in. Georgia, the years before that, weren't. But, yes, I think moving forward, to the sentiment of the question, moving forward, it's not going to be that you bought your championship, but you bought some key players. Like the Ohio State's and Alabama's. Ohio State got Caleb Downs. They got probably the best safety in the country. They paid him a lot of money. They also, I assume, paid Jeremiah Smith a lot of money. Now, did they buy that championship, or did they just outbid other people? I don't know. Like, it's not. I don't think Jeremiah Smith would have gone to Rice, no matter how much money Rice paid him. I could be wrong. Maybe if Rice offered him $20 million, he'd be like, yeah, sure. Where is Rice again? What state? But so I think there's something to that. But I think that's starting now. Now we're going to see more teams where it feels like, it will be like the NFL. Like, free agents make a difference. You still have to draft well.
Yeah.
But you fill out your roster with free agents, and that's what the college football is going to be. Yeah.
And again, listen, Miami tried to buy a champion. They tried to buy wins. They didn't buy a lot of them. They spent a lot of money, so it's more than just trying to completely make your roster into grabbing the best available guys versus the amount of money you have available. And we're also seeing with Colorado. We'll see if They can just go out and get everybody they want and not have to really build anything but buy the amount of talent they have. But, I mean, the question, I guess, at hand, at what point does college become more lucrative than playing in the NFL? And we're still, and we talked about it with where Johnny got drafted, right? I mean,
yeah,
$200,000.
Johnny makes the team. Yeah, if Johnny makes the team, he's guaranteed of about $1 million over the next 2 years.
Yeah, as a 6th-round pick. So I don't know the financials on the Battle's End, but I cannot imagine that maybe one player got 7 figures, but I can't imagine multiple players got 7 figures. Or multiples enough to where it makes it, again, you have plenty of guys that are looking at this and saying it's more lucrative than playing in the NFL.
It won't be. It'll never be more lucrative. It just won't. We know that. But it could be close enough. Again, they had the less. The NBA too. The NBA had the least number of underclassmen declared for the draft in like almost a decade. The NFL, same thing. I think these are making it our college football because the kid from Pitt, Jordan Addison, just goes across the country. These schools are making it more enticing to stay. Like the example I bring up all the time, I'll continue to do it, is the North Carolina forward, Baycott. He's a guy that didn't really have a surefire home in the NBA.
How about R.J. Smith, Corey? Sorry to interrupt, but R.J. Smith's coming back for a 6th year, too. He averaged like 20 points at North Carolina. He's like, I'm a
Davis, R.J. Davis.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like he would have gone and tested the waters and been like, okay, even if I go to Europe, I'll go make hundreds of thousands of dollars playing basketball. Well, now he's doing that at North Carolina again, in front of a lot of people, not in some foreign city that he doesn't speak the language. So it's just they're making it more enticing for the R.J. Davis, Armando Baycott, Jordan Travis. Those are great examples of NIL being for the better good. Again, Jordan Travis, it's awesome that he got picked in the 5th round, but he was not a guaranteed surefire NFL player. He came back and made a good amount of money. Quality life Jordan Travis lived in Tallahassee his last year on campus. And so I think that they can do it. They can do it for the Jordan Travis of the world to make it worth their while to stay, but they'll never be able to surpass what the NFL, even like the 3-year guaranteed contract. You can't compete with that.
Well, let's go back to Mark M. Adams CZ. He's not concerned about the lack of portal activity because there isn't a Keon or Jared or Fisk in the portal. The lack of exits and pickups, a testament to the stability of the program. Mike and staff have built depth at almost every position, or at least enough depth to not panic by bringing in whoever through the portal. And the guys that are still on the roster that may have not broken through yet, to your point, Corey, they're bond to the culture. They want to do work and get better, and they maybe realize that the grass isn't always greener. Do you see it the same way? That's just my theory. Also, what's your go-to meal for Cinco de Mayo? He says street tacos with beef and chicken and a nice cold margarita on the rocks.
Oh, man, that's coming up.
Yeah.
When is that? Sunday? Saturday? Sunday, I guess? Cinco de Mayo? I think, like I said yesterday, I think it's a lot of I don't really have a go-to, by the way. I guess chalupas? I really don't have one. The Philly cheesesteak at Corner Pocket.
I love Mexican food, but you could put 6 different things in front of me, like enchiladas and like all the different sort of offerings they have, and I could not identify them. I could be like, that's a taco, that's a burrito, but like, I think an enchilada is just a burrito that's covered in cheese and sauce almost.
I think it's a little smaller too. I think it's like it's not as long as a burrito, I think.
Yeah.
But they're both wrapped in tortillas with meat and cheese and vegetables inside.
Yeah. So.
In an
love
empanada.
It love it.
I love empanadas too, but it's all kind of a combination of breading, meat, and cheese, which is perfect. They nailed it. They nailed that menu. But yeah, I do think to the first part, yeah, it's there's been a lot of guys there haven't been a lot of guys in the last 3 years that came to Florida State that would call it a mistake. Maybe none, but there have been plenty of guys that have left Florida State that regret it and will call it a mistake. So that's always a good feather to have in your cap.
Okay, all right, a bit of a sidebar here. Let's give some stuff away, Corey.
Okay, all right.
Let's do that. We're on camera now. Thanks for watching us, everybody. So as you know, we're partnering with our great friends over at Cummins. Follow them on Instagram, Cummins Lifestyle, all one word. And whoever asks the best question each single week has been picked out in generating discussion. So we've got 4 winners from the month of April, and one of those guys is going to win a Cummins swag bag. But all of them are going to be entered into the grand prize drawing at the end of the year for that portable generator or the portable power station. We're going to pick somebody here in a little bit after we're done doing the drawing. But with that said, Corey, let's go ahead and give out some free swag. Again, our winners were Nole for Life, class of 2007, Beham FSU, and Philip Morris, as well as M. Adam CZ. Corey, drum roll, please.
Okay.
There we go. All right, you're done. It's fine.
Okay.
Look at that. And the winner of the first ever swag bag giveaway is, this is so dramatic, M. Adam CZ.
How about that?
Mark from Naples. Congrats, buddy. DM me or email me your address so that we can mail out the Cummins swag bag to you. Our friends over at Cummins are going to do all this, so get at me. Again, follow them on Instagram, Cummins Lifestyle. With that said, Corey, let's go ahead and fire up the generator real quick.
What a big day for Mark.
Love the sound of that generator.
Some
say it's the sound of their youth. Corey's throwing me off with him not having the glasses on, but
sorry.
I will try to persevere throughout this. Our winner is Marlon Joker, Corey. He was talking about House versus NCAA is going to change college football again by allowing schools to directly pay players. He was wondering whether or not actual collectives are going to become part of universities. I don't know if that's going to happen. But he does ask, when this ruling does come down, that is House versus NCAA, surely it will be in the favor of the athletes. So whom of the past players, again, if you don't know House versus NCAA, this is basically players from the past saying that they were stripped, robbed of the ability to make money when they were student athletes via NIL. So they want money. It's like a $4 billion lawsuit. So what past player deserves the most back pay? Marlon's vote is for Charlie. Even though Charlie doesn't need it, right? Because and that's a crazy thing. I feel like, certain players, Corey, provided value to Florida State that has been evergreen and everlasting. Whatever you want to say about Deion Sanders, his presence at this university gives you a kind of sort of cachet when it comes to recruiting guys. Charlie doesn't get it. I think Jameis is probably the right answer because of him leading you to a national championship. And Charlie doesn't get the same kind of, because certain players now, they still talk about Jameis, like young guys talk about watching Jameis Winston. Nobody really talks about Chris Winkie, watching Chris Winkie win a national title, or my dad loved Chris Winkie growing up. But like Charlie, it's because he didn't go to the NFL. That's the only reason why. Like, he decided to make a really smart business decision and make gobs more money and preserve his body playing in the NBA, and that got him penalized, at least in the eyes of the youth. But I would probably say Jameis. Where are you at?
Yeah, I guess I don't know the parameters of the question. Deion and Jameis made so much money that I don't want to choose them. But Deion is probably the most important player to ever play at Florida State, purely from a appeal issue, from an appeal standpoint, and getting other players to come to Florida State, flipping it to a cool place to go to. Not that it was a boring place. It was Bobby Bowden. It was Florida State. They threw it a lot. But Deion, his impact on the program can't be denied. It was at the birth of the dynasty, but he also made gobs of money. So I was trying to think of somebody that didn't make a ton of money that was really, really important to Florida State. And there's two names that came to mind, and there's a million that you could choose from. But Greg Allen from the early 80s, Ron Simmons made so much money wrestling. Greg Allen from the early 80s, he went in the NFL and was already kind of banged up and beat up and injury riddled, even though he's a pretty high pick. I don't even know if he made the league, but if he did, he didn't make a lot of money in the league. But he was huge for Florida State in the early 80s. And then what about somebody like Rashad Green that, again, played in the NFL for 2 years maybe, but didn't get rich playing in the NFL. But, man, what he meant for Florida State, how good he was at Florida State, can't be denied. But maybe the real answer is Peter Warrick.
I was going to say, I'll see you, Rashad, and I'll raise it Peter Warrick.
Yeah. Like, Peter was a first-round pick, so he made millions of dollars in the NFL. But what he meant to Florida State and how fun he was to watch, I can't imagine how much money he would have been worth in today's age. You know what I mean? Like it's astronomical because it wasn't just that he was good. He had that personality and he was really fun to watch. There's a built-in Dillard's commercial. Right away, you've got to deal with Dillard's. And that's not, that sounds like a joke and sarcasm, and it kind of is, but it's also the truth. You can't tell me that Dillard's wouldn't have, if NIL was around in 1999, Dillard's is all over Peter Warrick.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think Peter Warrick maybe. Forget what I said before. Greg Allen, love you. Rashad, great college receiver, but I'm going to go with Peter Warrick.
That's the right answer, I think. You probably don't win a national title in 2013 without Rashad Green.
No, you don't. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, you don't. You don't.
No.
But you absolutely 100% don't win a national title in 1999 without Peter Warrick.
Correct.
So,
right.
All right. Look at that. Consensus. It's been built.
And I feel like he had a Q rating, whatever they call that thing. I think Peter Warrick, just because he was cool. He was so cool and so dynamic and so fun to watch.
We've gotten tweets from LeBron James about watching Peter Warrick.
Right.
So, tie goes at Peter. Love you, though, Rashad. Rashad, if your people listening to this, get at me. Love to have you on the show sometime. You too, Pete. All right, back at it. Seminole Carol. Wake up, Warchant. Let's get this show powered up. Ready to start rocking and rolling. I have 2 tongue twisters for you today, so do not mess them up. Great. I love pressure. Yeah. First one is, how much power does a powerful Cummins generator power if a powerful Cummins generator can powerfully power? Here's my second. A lot of power, Carol, a lot. The second, here's the real tongue twister to actually answer. All right. How many total points per game does a powerfully charged 2024 Seminole offense produce if a powerfully charged 2024 Seminole offense can and will produce points per game? Let's go Seminoles and get this offense powered up. Should I pull up where are the numbers from last year?
No, because last year's skewed anyway because of those last 3 games. Because they scored 3, 20, and 13 or whatever it was.
Still finished 19th in the country, 34.6 points per game.
That's crazy. So they were averaging probably 37 or 38 or 40 before that. Yeah, I would say if you get to around 30, you're doing good. You're doing well. I think that's what you're looking for. Is 30 to 33, somewhere in that range.
Because this defense is going to be pretty solid again, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, again, your defense probably won't be as good and your offense won't be as good. But, so you're probably not going to win them all. But you should win most of them if you're averaging somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 33 a game.
Island Chief, wake up. Portal's closing. It's closed, yeah. Some guys might trickle in based on the timing of their paperwork submissions and how quickly they got processed by their compliance offices.
The 30th was the last day for football, right? And I
Yes.
think Wednesday was the last day for basketball.
Yeah. Currently, there are more than 1,400 players in the portal who have yet to find a home. Last season's AP All-America team had 11 fifth- and sixth-year players on the first team and 11 more on the second team. Michigan had a player who had been granted his 9th year of eligibility, or maybe Miami. He says UM, so I guess we'll go with Miami on that. He was at Oregon in 2016 before Willie. That's incredible.
That's nuts.
My gosh. Does the NCAA need to expand rosters to account for the COVID year, not counting in the ever-increasing waivers for players who do not wear garnet and gold?
No, I mean, eventually COVID won't be a thing anymore, right?
Yeah.
Well, hey, guys, we all know it never was a thing. But, no, I mean, like the COVID year won't be really a thing that we're dealing with, right? Like that's
we're pretty close to being done with it, I would feel like,
I was going
right?
to say we're kind of on the other side of that being a factor anymore. Right. Like I think Caitlin Clark could have come back. People like that, but I mean that was we're going on to 5 years since 2020 that year. So I don't think that's that big an issue. Honestly, I don't. I think it's awesome that like Jimbo always thought you should get 5 years. What do you always want?
I don't know. I thought
5 years to. No, it was like he had something he always thought they should do. Like you just get 5 years to play. No red shirt, but you get 5, no matter what. Like even if you play 6 games as a freshman, you get a super senior year to play again if you want. Like why not do that? And I could see that. I mean, yeah, give all these guys that maybe they make a move where when you come to college you're eligible for 5 years. I don't think that's ruined the sport. In fact, I think it's made it better. The Braden Fisks of the world get to play on a big stage. Jordan Travis.
Dimitri Emanuel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really a downside to it. I mean, it's goofy that a guy that was there before Willie is still eligible to play college football, but that's an anomaly. Most of the people are the Braden Fisk of the world, 5 years, sometimes 6. But the 6 was for COVID. But I think we're on the other side of that. But 5 years to play 5, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't want to take away the opportunity for these young men to get educations and change their lives. But, man, listen, there's nothing – I don't know what could happen for me to check out on college football. But I don't like the idea of carrying a roster of more than 85 guys on scholarship. And we're already at that point now where, with the way things are, you can kind of work your way around that. That's just crazy. I mean, the NFL's got 53-man active roster, and I think you only have like 48 on game days dressed. You're nearly double that to play the same exact sport and play less games.
And what's crazy is it used to not be an issue really because, they like to keep their rosters at a certain size because they have to pay all of them in the NFL. But now colleges do too. So now colleges it's not just they pay them in books and grants and scholarships. They have to pay them real money or they're going to go somewhere else. So, yeah, it's 85 is a lot.
Yes.
If you're now having to get your boosters and fans to pony up money to finance a roster, and your roster is 30 people more than an NFL roster, again, it's just a crazy time. Crazy time.
And honestly, think about it. We're not going to do it, but I mean, if you listed the 85 guys that are on scholarship, how many of them are vital? How many guys could you shed off of that and be pretty okay with how your season's going to play out? Every team's got misses, so. I'd hate to think about the amount of, but again, you give players opportunity to come to a good school and get an education. I'm about that, but that's not the primary focus for them. All right, let's hustle through the rest of this stuff. Shout out real quick to Bourbon is your friend, I guess. Dave, way to go. Keep your power station, Aslan. You're as biased as the 23 playoff committee. I want to shout out Tatum Bethune. I don't know what his draft stock was a year ago, but as a fourth-year senior, he returns to school and proceeds to open the season by hitting the future Heisman winner so hard, he gets a warning for completely doing a legal thing, henceforth known as the Tatum Bethumped. Then he ends the season playing on an injured knee while running on a knee that's killing him and intercepts the bleeping ball, which may have been the singular play that if it didn't happen, Florida State loses to Louisville. This is a guy who comes from a family that values education so much so that his great-great-great-aunt founded Bethune-Cookman College, and his parents are educators, both, possibly the least undervalued or the most undervalued profession in society today, and by no means a get-rich profession. With everyone lamenting NIL, the transfer portal, and everything else that's wrong with college football, sports, and the world today, Tatum Bethune's call from the 49ers embodies what's right about sports. I want to reshare the story from Ira from November 5th, 2022 for Tommy to read after school today. So, yeah, man, shout out Tatum Bethune. One of the 10 most impactful transfers of the Mike Norvell era, Corey, some would say.
He's right up there, yeah. He had a nice career here. He battled injuries, and we'll always remember. Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, he is what's good about college football. One of the many guys on the Florida State roster the past 2 years that's an example of what is right about college football and what can be right about the portal. But yeah, so it was cool that he got drafted. I wonder if he'd have gone a little higher if there weren't injury concerns. But either way, just getting drafted, whether he makes the team or not, what a cool moment to know that a team picked you.
Yep.
Because, 99.999% of us don't ever get that feeling, and he did. Deserved it. And what he did against Louisville should have gone down as one of the most respected, beloved plays that any Florida State defender has made in decades because of how hurt he was and how big that play we thought was. Intercepting. They got the ball. Didn't they block a punt or something? How'd they get the ball down there? I don't remember, but they got the ball inside your 10.
I think you're right. I think they blocked the punt.
And then they, I've kind of washed the game out. I've flushed it from my memory because it didn't matter. But, that should have mattered. And that play, along with what Fisk and Verse did later, kind of should have sewed up a playoff berth. And it was really cool that he got to have a moment like that. And then 12 hours later, it was made obsolete, which sucks. But it was cool that Bethune had a play like that. I wish it would go down more in history and Florida State lore, but the committee made sure it won't.
Beeham FSU. Wake up, fellas. Hello from Birmingham, birthplace of Courtney Cox from Friends fame.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. And Haley Joel Osment, I think, maybe.
Okay.
Remember him from The Sixth Sense?
I see dead people.
Yeah. Hey, guys, by the way, crazy ending there. If you haven't watched it, I don't want to spoil it for you, but crazy ending. Head on a swivel.
I went and saw that like when it premiered, and I was in college or in high school, and I didn't get what was going on. So
What do you mean? You walked out of the theater and, like, what happened?
Yeah, I'm like, well, I understood what the unveil was, but like I didn't piece it together. I couldn't like hindsight think like, oh, that's why it all worked out the way it did. And that might not make sense, but it just I don't know.
Did you ever see? I think it's going to be the second time I brought up Nate Bargatze in a row. What a record! He had a bit about The Sixth Sense. He's like, women are so good at giving you the silent treatment that people watched a full 90-minute movie where the wife never talks to the husband. And they're like, oh, this is a movie about relationships. This is a movie about marriages. And it's like, yeah, but it was kind of a trick, right? Like you never saw, oh, no, he was shot in the first scene of the movie.
Yeah.
And those scenes made so much sense that she just wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah.
That you bought it all because women are so good at the silent treatment. By the way, I did just spoil the whole movie, folks, but it's 25 years old.
I'll try to put something in the show notes.
Yeah, I will feel really bad if one of our listeners was like, you know what? It's time. It's time to watch The Sixth Sense. I want to see what all the fuss is about.
It's like, hey, babe, like mom and dad said that, we should watch, my mom said that, I should take you out on a date night and we'll watch a movie like a classic. And she said like Sixth Sense would be cool.
Yeah, well, now you know. Now you know what's coming. Bruce Willis is dead the whole time. Jeez. Well, I already said it. I already spoiled it.
Back to the question. A tribal council post raised the question, who was more important to the team the last few years, Jermaine or Jordan? Both love the Garnet and Gold, and I'm wondering who on this current team, with so many have gone to the NFL, takes the torch and is that leader for the 2024 team. Some may say, who's him? Jermaine was that solid bridge. Jordan, obviously.
I think Jordan's the answer, but Jermaine will always be respected and beloved for what he did and what program he joined, and the season he had to make them even from awful to mediocre. But that's a big bridge to cross. Like, you could stay awful for a long, long time. He really did help them go to mediocre, and then the next year they went to good and then great. Well, maybe that doesn't ever happen if that bridge to mediocre isn't built by Jermaine Johnson. So, and maybe Verse doesn't come. That was a good feather to have a guy drafted in the first round, a feather in the cap. So, but no, Jordan, right? But I don't know when it comes to this year. Don't know.
I'm gonna go with two guys that I don't know how highly they'll get drafted. I think one is definitely going to get drafted and probably pretty high. I don't know about the other one, but I think defensively, I think Shaheem's that guy.
Yeah.
And I think Darius Washington might be that guy on the offense.
I wish he was a little more vocal, but yeah, I agree. He's a stalwart and he's been around forever.
That's the thing. I think he's more comfortable in his skin, maybe more so than ever now. And I think he'll kind of take the onus on himself to lead that unit, and then not by virtue of the offense, because I don't think that's in DJ's nature. I think he just wants to go out there and execute, and that's going to be the way he's going to lead. But I think Darius is a guy that they'll either see him play through injuries or see stuff that he's dealing with, and I think he'll be kind of like a galvanizing force for that side of the ball. So, but yeah, not first, probably not a first round NFL pick, but neither was Jordan. Although who knows how high Jordan had been drafted if he didn't get hurt. Which, by the way, I saw Bill Belichick also came out in favor of outlawing the hip drop tackle. So there's no place in football for it.
Yeah, I agree.
So how do you tackle then? Like, you can't grab a guy and hold on to him and bring him down.
But you kind of brace your leg and flip him around it. You could still hold on to him. You work out more. Take some creatine. Get bigger muscles. Get bigger muscles where you don't have to use your leg as a post to flip them over.
All right, last one. We made it. Nole 23, wake up. Any idea why they do tour of duty, previously mat drills, in February or March? It seems like the players would still be healing from the previous season and their bodies would need some rest. Wouldn't it make more sense to do it in the summer prior to the start of the season? Just wondering. Go Noles. I think this comes down to the NCAA regulations in terms of what you can and can't do with your team. So it's, and this is like the off-season conditioning. I mean, you want to condition your guys before you go into spring football rather than try to condition them afterwards because the way the window works is like you've got this limited amount of time that you cannot do stuff with your team. You can start rolling footballs out there like in January and they can do those activities, but it's just the way the calendar kind of works. I don't know if they'd want to revisit and do it that way. But it's probably one of those things that's been done this way for so long. It just kind of anything else would feel too foreign and alien. But hey,
I would also say back in the day they did mat drills obviously inside because they were on mats. They do the tour of duty. I know it's at the IPF, but it's still kind of out in the elements. And the garage doors are open, I think, sometimes. And man, I just couldn't imagine being in that in June. In Tallahassee.
Oh, yeah.
Like doing those drills outside in June. Now, you wouldn't have to. You could go to Tully, I guess. I think it's more about trying to get in shape for spring practice than anything else. And maybe they don't want to. You play your bowl game in late December. Maybe you don't want to be like the next time we start doing stuff as a coaching staff and try to build this team and this family and this bond and yada, yada, yada. You don't want to wait 3.5 months. You'd like to do it 4 weeks from there, not almost 4 months away, maybe. I don't know. Maybe
I'll do a weekend research project on this, but I am kind of curious with the trend lines here, Corey, of a revenue sharing model coming to college football that's going to be somewhat maybe similar to how the NFL operates, tangentially, I guess, maybe closest proximity on this, but we know how like NFL practices now are historically player friendly. There's not a lot of contact, OTAs, all these things. There's, a lot of stuff is voluntary if you're a certain caliber of player. I just wonder if there's going to be a point where players, they want money right now. I wonder if there's going to be a point to where they're going to want rest and to give their bodies time to heal because it is kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, they played a bowl game in January. Not long after that, they're bringing all these new guys in from the portal, and those guys are working out, lifting heavy, doing 7-on-7, 1-on-1 drills with receivers, trying to, get back into shape. Then they're doing tour of duty. Then they're playing spring football. And I mean, right now, I don't know, for like a month and maybe a month, they'll have like just time to go home and kind of do nothing. But then they're going to be back, I think, in June. And that's when the strength staff can have them and they start doing kind of football related movements and activities. So, NFL guys, they legit get time off. Like college football players do not, and they're having to go to school. But I guess, NFL players are usually fathers. So I'd rather would probably go to a 2,000 level class and have to change diapers and wake up at 5 a.m. But that's just a guy that's never had to do it before. So I don't know.
Right. Changing diapers is fun. I got pretty good at it there for a while.
Oh, man. Could you do it with one hand? Like, could you be on the phone with Shanna and then like do it with one hand?
No, but my best ever diaper changing story, because I stayed with Brady his first year that he was alive. I was a stay-at-home dad. I would take him to interviews and stuff because Shanna had a teaching job. And there was one time where I put him on the table to change him, and then I dropped. This is straight out of like, have you seen Kill Bill?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, if you've seen Kill Bill, Uma Thurman has a pregnancy test, and she drops it on the floor. And right when she drops it on the floor, a shotgun blast goes through the door, the hotel door. It's not a spoiler. It's just one of many scenes in that movie that involves violence. Uma Thurman's dead the whole time too, gang.
Actually, I've seen that. I've seen that. I saw that scene. I know you're talking about.
So okay. So anyway, I'm getting ready to change Brady's diaper. I undo it, and then the new diaper I drop on the ground. And as I kneel down to pick it up, I hear something against the wall,
trickling,
like a splash. And I look up, and he had just sprayed everywhere on the wall, and right where my face had been.
Oh, man.
2 seconds before.
Nice.
So anytime I'm having a bad day, I'm like, you don't have it too bad. You didn't get explosive diarrhea in the face.
Oh, that's tough. Oh, no.
No, that's what it was. It was straight out of his.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Up against the wall. So that didn't hit me in the face. So anytime I'm having a bad day, I'm like, well, at least that didn't happen to you. At least somebody was looking out for you that day back in 2009.
Living on that karma. Anyway, living on that karma for all of life.
Yeah, exactly right.
Awesome. All right, that's a wrap for us. Thanks for tuning in. Probably a wrap on the week for us as well. But if anything that's newsworthy of note, we'll put something together for you folks. But Everything resides over at warchant.com. Michael Langston, Matt Lasser got everything covered when it comes to recruiting. Again, the portal, you can't enter it, but if you're already in there and you haven't found a home, you can still flirt with people, so we'll see how that works out. And obviously the Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock, keeping you folks updated on everything Florida State and around the world of sports. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.